Alright, welcome back everybody. Northwegian Lockpicker here. Sorry I haven't been doing much for videos here lately. I've been really busy running around and doing this and that. So yesterday my wife and I decided to go for a drive and go do some treasure hunting. So I thought I'd share what I've come across with you guys. So that we've had a lot of fun. We started going out to these antique malls and looking around and finding a lot of neat stuff. I came across this jar. Actually, my wife found the jar, pointed it out. We were looking at some keys and old skeleton key combinations and stuff. Came across this here, just jam-packed with a whole bunch of keys. It's got just about a little bit of everything in here. Not much for old skeleton keys in here, but as you can see, there's just about everything else. I'm not even sure a lot of these keys what they're for. Even the jar's antique. But a lot of old automobile cars. GM, Ford. I think we found some Mercury keys. It's a lot of little, like warded lock, diary type keys, little treasure box keys, things like that. There's some pretty cool little flat lever lock keys, which I've got to do a little more research and see what kind of locks actually use those. I don't know that I've ever come across, or probably some kind of a toy lock or chintzy lock or suitcases, or I'm not even sure. This guy here, he looks like he's pretty old, but pretty neat lever lock. This, I'm guessing, is a keyring tool. There's even a few little key rings and stuff that I'd never seen in here. Looks like a real penny pressed into a little keychain tag. Some type of I'm guessing this is some type of an older, like, tubular lock. Let's see here. I thought I found something. Actually, look like tools that were made. But I'm thinking this is like diary keys. Thinking that's what a lot of these here are, like that. But that was pretty cool to come across. And I happened to walk across this sitting on a shelf. This is an old Eagle Lock Company lever lock. Actually came with 2 keys. That was really impressive. But it's like a chest or treasure box type of a locking hasp. Functions exactly as it's supposed to. So this would be mounted on the bottom portion. This would go on to the lid, or vice versa. And then when you would open it, it would come closed together. You'd close it back together, hold the lock down, relock it, and your key comes out. Might have to build myself a little chest or a treasure box to use that thing on. Then I'm found this little guy. Actually, I bought this one a while back, but it was from the same place. It's an old lever lock. Not sure if this one even functions. It's pretty rusty. Thought about soaking it in some diesel fuel or something for a while and see if it would loosen everything up and come clean. I actually got to go online somewhere and find some lever lock tools. I don't have any of those yet. let's see here. Then I come across a box that actually had a bunch of locks in it that didn't even have keys. These were $5 a piece on this old Yale. At first I kind of thought this was a malfunction, or something was wrong with it, because the keyways, actually the pins are up here, so it's not leaving much room there for a Bible or spring. So I'm not quite sure how that functions, but no key in it, so I did lock it up in the vise and picked it open. Functions real well. And then this Corbin, I managed to pick him open. Looks like an oldie. Actually in really good condition. Keyway is a little gummy. I might spray some break free and stuff in there, loosen that up good. Might even try some key impressioning and stuff to see if I can't make some keys for these. I found this here. This is probably my prize pick, I guess. It's from the American Lock Company. It's an old one. Junko Brothers. And I found a video on YouTube. I didn't mark and write down who it was. I can't remember who it was that did it, but he showed that this thing, or had it all gutted, tore apart, and it's actually a wafer lock. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see in there. Let's see if I can find my flashlight here. And if we can get the right focus and the right angle, can kind of see the wafers down in there. But he was actually really gummy, so I've sprayed a bunch of break free in there, started cleaning him up. Really like to be able to gut it and clean it up, and if I can get the core out, making a key for that guy would actually be really simple. Wafer locks are pretty easy, just to stick, if you can find a key that fits the keyway, a blank, and can just file them down and keep sliding it into the core when you got the wafer core out. That's actually pretty simple, so I think he's probably my favorite guy. Then I found this guy, old Yale. This one, he was actually in a locked up glass case. This is the older one. I overpaid a little bit for it, but something just told me I had to have them. Old Yale in Town Manufacturing Company. I haven't had a chance to look up and see a date of manufacture or anything, but he's a pretty nice lock. This one actually has the bitting stamped on the core, so it's a 3248 4-pin. The key, when I pulled it out of the shelf, I was playing around with it and I couldn't get it to work. I thought, well, I stuck a key in there that didn't actually work with the lock. I was trying it out and wiggling it and jiggling it, and it just wouldn't go. And I brought it home, or got home last night, and I was messing around with it trying to pick it, and I had a tension wrench in here and I'm pulling on it, and I noticed right away that I don't know if I can get this so you can see it or not, but the core is directly connected to the shackle. So I'm prying away at it and I'm putting more and more tension on it, and I was figuring out that I didn't matter what I did, I wasn't getting any kind of action on the pins whatsoever. Then I realized that there's spring tension pulling it inward. You can kind of see it pulls out there. Let's see if I can get this to focus and zoom in here. Okay, so you can actually see there's a lug that goes down inside of the lock body. So then I figured, well, maybe you actually gotta pull the shackle out and then turn it to be able to unlock it. So then I started tensioning it that way, and you actually was pulling on it like this to tension it, and then I went in there with a rake and it actually popped open for me. When I grabbed the key, and I actually had thrown the key in the mix of this jar thinking, well, it doesn't work anyways. So I dug the key back out and managed to find it, and it actually does function. You got to wiggle it a little bit, and then you got to push the key in hard and then turn it and it opens. But that's kind of a fun lock. That one's gonna be a special lock that sits in my collection. Okay, but then I come across these here, two best locks. They're lockout tagout locks, and they actually came with the key. So I've been playing around with these two. I managed to pick them open each once, and I'll do some picking videos on them and stuff, but they function real well. And I started thinking, well, the core's got to come out on these. So I had to do some research and found some YouTube videos, Bosnian Bill and Lockpicking Lawyer, talking about how they open these up, and they actually come with let me think if I can, or try to remember the term here, the operating key and a control key. So I've got the operating key for each of these, and if you have the control key, it opens it to a completely separate shear line, and it'll turn just slightly, and it releases a locking pawl in the side of the core, and the core comes right out. I'm sure you've all seen probably a bunch of videos on these, watching everybody. But so I've been picking away at these, managed to get the shear line, the operating line on them each time, but I'd really want to actually hit the control line so I can pull the core out and check them out. But it's really hard when you're picking these to differentiate. You got to hit either all the pins for the control or all the pins for the shear, and if you mix and match, you're stuck and you're hung up. It won't open either way, or you got to hit all or nothing on both. And I found this neat little tool. Calls it an old tool, but it's really not that old of a tool. But it's really had the drill bits and everything in it, so it's just a little handheld drill with a little aluminum chuck and everything on it. So that's just going to go into my little tool cup here. But the actual prize of my whole pick yesterday was this awesome old key machine. It's a Detroit key machine, and I've been playing around with it, trying to understand exactly how it works, and it actually everything still functions on it. The wheel turns real nice. Could use a little cleaning up. The slide is a little sticky. You got to kind of work it across. And the way I've set it up here, you can use it to duplicate keys if you've got a blank or two blanks, or you can use the code wheel here and actually cut keys. So if you know the bidding or the code for the bidding on whatever lock you're using, you can use this wheel to cut for the coding without having the key to duplicate. That's pretty awesome, I think. We've got to do some playing around with this and understand it a little better. You could set up another motor and run a belt on it, so you can spin this electrically, or you can turn it by hand. But I think what I can do is I might actually make a different code wheel for it, and actually get it set up so I can cut Schlag's quick sets or maybe even master keys. But I've got to do a little more research, but so far from what I can tell, I would have to have a blank key for that keyway to be able to set my depth here, my 0 depth, and then you would adjust this wheel here to set your code cut or your depth for the next cut. So you'd need I'd need a blank key, and then marked out the spacing for each pin for that keyway, and then have the code wheel marked with the actual depths. Sorry, my dog thinks he's a watchdog and sees something outside here. So yeah, it's this is a pretty awesome machine. So I've got to learn a little more about it and see what I can come up with, and hopefully make some key cutting videos and potentially demonstrate how I'm coming out with making my own code wheel here, so I can code cut for keys and not even have to actually duplicate keys. So I know it's an antique, but I think I'm gonna actually put it to use. Yeah, so that's gonna give me all kinds of videos to make, lots of material to work on, lots of more picking videos. I can pick all these locks and hopefully have a good time with everybody. So still waiting on my challenge lock challenge. So I sent this did this video, finished this one up, and I did a challenge for, not really a challenge, but for a contest to see who this first challenge lock that I did was going out to. And so far I've gotten 5 emails. So I'm still waiting on 5 more emailers. The 10th emailer will get as long as they get the rules and meet all the criteria, they'll get that challenge lock sent out to them. So that was video number 16. If you get a chance, go back and check it out. I know I've gotten a few comments from some of you guys saying that there's some trouble getting in and seeing my older videos. So I've got to actually turn on a computer and get into YouTube that way and see if I can figure out what's going on. But see if I can get that fixed. But check out my video from making a challenge lock number 3. I think it's video number 16. And make sure you've got all the rules and meet all that criteria. Send out some emails, and we'll get that challenge lock sent off. I have gotten some pretty good replies from people, emails from some other lock pickers wanting to do some lock exchanges, and that's great. That's awesome. Haven't forgot you guys. Haven't gotten around to making another challenge lock yet, but I will be doing that here shortly. So yeah, thank you everybody who's been participating and reaching out to me. Greatly appreciated, and I will see you again in probably a day or two. So don't forget to stay legal, and if you don't respect the keyway, don't put your pick in there. Thanks everybody.